this is the suffering pile. How could we speak to ourselves in moments of ignorance or forgetting when we have reacted with intensity? So that's suffering, right? Reacting with intensity is suffering. That's why I put it in the suffering pile. So that we don't punish ourselves for not having remembered to not be reactive. That's like not wanting to not be born again, or some kind of thing like that. So what I would say about this is what's needed first with suffering is not fixing it. So when we've reacted with intensity, there we have suffering. Maybe it's coming from the poison of forgetting or ignorance. But the first thing we have to look at is that clinging right there. Right? That there's a want to respond properly. There's a want to not punish ourselves, right? And we want to do a little work before that, and the work would be to recognize clinging or resistance to the fact that you reacted. Anybody ever feel that way? They cling or they resist. Oh God, that was awful. Does anybody do that? God, that just happened to me the other night. Like, right? I had a reaction, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't sleep like all night long, right? So when we react, we're against it, right? Because we want to be good, we want to do good, so we're kind of against that, and we recognize that resistance right there. That's the poison. That's suffering, right? So we want to work with that part of it. And so there's a poison, right? Resistance. So then there's loving kindness. So, I was so awful. That was horrible. I did that. Loving kindness, self-compassion. You see the antidote. So we're not doing self-talk right now, like talking to ourselves. Mindfulness is not a self-talk thing. It's not a self-talk thing. We don't address that here, right? There's all kinds of other places where we can learn positive self-talk and talk to ourselves differently. But this work that we're doing is way, way earlier than it happens sort of below our need to talk better to ourselves. So when we do this work, self-talk doesn't even really become an issue, because when I practice loving kindness, again, as a response to my aversion, I feel better. I'm like, do you guys experience that with compassion last night? I just feel better. I don't then have to tell myself things, right? It's just not working out well. So that's the first thing. So lots of self-compassion. What do I need? What do I need? Do you need to apologize? Do you need to make amends? Do you need to forgive yourself? Right? These are all kind of heart states and compassionate actions. So you can ask yourself that as well. But that punishing, the bottom part of that was so that we don't punish ourselves for not having remembered. And that punishing ourselves, that's coming directly from aversion, from being, against what we did. Yeah, so we work with that. Loving kindness could be self-compassion. It could be actually trust, right? Trust in my basic goodness too, right? We make mistakes, we react, but we're all basically good, right? So I hope that helps. How does delusion show up in our lives and cause suffering? What specifically does it look like or refer to? Yeah, so delusion is referring to, I'm going to change the word to ignorance. I'm going to go a little bit further and use the word not knowing. Delusion is a word the Buddha used. It's very dramatic. It's very dramatic, I'm telling you. In our day, we use like the phrase not knowing, or being ignorant, not understanding, right? And if we thought of it that way, not understanding shows up all the time in our lives and causes suffering, right? When I beat myself up, right, I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding that the source of my actions that I beat myself up for had causes and conditions. And whatever I did that I'm beating myself up for, it wasn't me. I'm not saying I'm not taking responsibility, but it wasn't myself, right? So we identify with our actions, and we get pretty down on ourselves. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have regret and work on being the best people we can be or make amends. It's that beating ourselves up situation that comes from forgetting about, let's say, anatta, not self, right? If I am having a bad thought about somebody, like a judging thought, and I beat myself up, I shouldn't have that thought. Does anybody do that? Anybody ever think, I shouldn't, I? But, that thought is not you. The brain made it. The brains here, all of these brains make thoughts. I just hate to break it to you, you don't make your thoughts. You have no control of them, so they're not you, right? So we might forget that. That would be an example of ignorance or not knowing. When I'm blaming myself and judging myself for having a bad thought, I'm forgetting the teaching of not self. Does that make sense? It's forgetting. Or here I am like, really righteously upset about something, and I might be forgetting that the cause of my suffering is clinging. Right? I'm causing it myself by clinging, right? And I've forgotten that. I'm like, blaming somebody else, right? So, right, hope that helps.